This is one of my favourite soups. It's going to have, this is a butternut pumpkin I'm cutting up. It's going to have some sweet potato, and it's going to have some potato, and at the end I'm going to add in some butter beans. Now, the process of making soup is just about the same every time. You've got vegetables, or if you're going to have like a stew, you'll add meat as well, but this is a soup. So what I've done here is just taken all the skin off, which I generally would roast that and I would eat the skin. But this is going into a soup, so just trimming it up. I'm going to cut this down. It doesn't have to be small. Pumpkin, sweet potato in particular, cooks very quickly. So potato and pumpkin cook about the same time, so just medium chunks. You don't have to go silly and do really fine ingredients, because in the end I'm going to use a hand potato masher to mash the soup up. So this is probably, I'm guessing, a couple of pound or a pound and a half of butternut pumpkin, which is one of the better keepers too. If you're going to grow pumpkins, it's superb for keeping for a long time. This is just what people call the orange sweet potato. It's really, really a fantastic vegetable, roasted, even in a barbecue. You can grill it. It's incredibly sweet. In fact, I think with sweet potato in a soup, you don't really need salt. I don't put any salt in the soup when I cook it. I allow people at the end to decide if they need it, but I don't know, it's a different thing than being sweet and being salty, but the sweetness of the sweet potato certainly, for me, I don't add any salt at all. So I'm just cutting a couple of potatoes up with this. Now if you look at the balance, you've probably got at the end half of it is going to be the contents of a butternut pumpkin, and the other half is made up of sweet potato and potato. So it's a bit of a balance. You can do whatever you like. This is how I make my particular pumpkin soup, which is pumpkin, potato and sweet potato soup really, but I just call it pumpkin soup. And so that's it. That's the ingredients that you're going to be putting into the pot. And I've just putting a large pot. If you ever cook soup or stews or curries, use a big pot. It takes just as long to clean a small pot as does a big pot. I'm putting here about a teaspoon of chicken stock. You can use powdered form like I am here, or fresh homemade chicken stock. And then I'm also going to add about the same in Italian herbs, so it's sort of an Italian pumpkin soup. It's about a teaspoon that's going in there. So a teaspoon of chicken stock and a teaspoon of Italian herbs. Now I'm going to put the veggies in. This doesn't seem like a lot, but there's going to be at least 4 big bowls of soup, which is 2 meals. And this is what we're going to be having tomorrow night for dinner, with some nice crusty rolls. Now I'm just adding enough water, if you've seen me make soup before, just to come to the level of the contents of the vegetables in there. You don't need tons of water. You'll end up with watery soup. And in the end, if you want to make your soup a bit thinner, you can add more water. Here is some fried onion that I buy online from a store called Two Brothers. If you're in Australia, it's simply called the number 2 Brothers. Really good. Now I use this just as another layer, so there's a small handful of dried onions that are going in there. Dried shallots, I think, really is what they are. And I'm going to put in a little bit of minced garlic. So even though I'm using the end of a knife, collectively it's about a teaspoon of garlic going in there. And that's it. All I'm going to do now is give that a bit of a stir, and then I'm simply going to put the lid on, and it will probably take about 15 to 20 minutes. I bring it to a boil, then I take it down to a simmer, and before you know it, they're ready. Now all you need to do is find the pumpkin in there and see if that's soft, and it was definitely getting soft, so that's ready. That's ready for me to now process. I just use, some people use one of those whiz sticks or fancy blenders. I keep it very simple. I just simply use a potato masher, because I don't want it to be a really fine soup. I want it to have a little bit of texture. So that's why most of my soups I'll make with that. In the end, I'm going to put these butter beans in after I've mashed them. I'm not going to mash the beans. They're going to be the other layer of texture when you eat this soup. And if you get the vegetables right, mashing them is very easy. I finished mashing this in probably about 25 seconds because the vegetables were very, very tender. So that's it done. Right before your eyes, all those veggies are now turned into soup. You can add all sorts of things, but I'm adding these butter beans. They just add another texture, and they're very delicious and good for you. So there's the protein in the soup, if you like. So, like I say, give this a go. I can tell you it tastes fantastic. You don't have to put the butter beans in, but I would recommend you give that a go as well. And as always, if you have been watching, thank you.